In this first part of the videos for this week, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of scientific notation. So, scientific notation is a way of writing numbers and we use this format that I'm going to write here. So, for an example, let's say we've got 5 times 10 to the power of 4. Let's have some definitions of the different parts of the number, so that's going to be useful for us to talk about the numbers going forward. So we've got here the 5 is called the coefficient. We've got times 10, we're working in base 10 to the power 4, so 4 is called the exponent, and this whole thing times 10 to the 4 is the power. Okay, so 10 to the power 4, what does that mean? So that means, let's do that in red. So we've got 10 to the power n, that's equivalent to saying that I multiply the coefficient by 10 n times. So in this example, that's the same as saying 5 times 10 4 times. So times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So that's the same as saying 5 times 10,000 or 50,000. So we can go between scientific notation, which is this notation here with the coefficient and the base and the exponent to make up a power, and decimal notation, which you might think of as normal numbers, so with a string of zeros. So there's our first example of changing in between scientific notation and decimal notation. Let's take another example. So if I write just 10 to the power 4 on its own, that is this. If we want to write that in true scientific notation, we can say 1 times 10 to the 4, because we know that multiplying by 1 does not alter the value of our number. So that's the same as saying 1 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, because the exponent is 4 and therefore we need to multiply by 10 4 times. So that's 1 times 10,000 equals 10,000. Now how about if the coefficient has a decimal place in it? So let's take an example, say 2.5 times 10 to the 5 this time. So that's 2.5 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So there I've written 10 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that gives us 2.5 times 100,000, which is the same as 250,000. So having a number with a decimal place, not a round number, as the coefficient is fine and very common and useful. Okay, one final example for this page. So this is a number that should be quite familiar to you. So here's Avogadro's number, 6.022 times 10 to the power 23. So there we've got 6.022 times 10 23 times. I'm not going to write that all out. All the tens, but if I write out all the zeros, it comes to this enormous number, which I think you can agree is quite unwieldy. So this is where the scientific notation really comes into its own, and we can express very large numbers easily.